Welcome to the fourth season of Heard, Afros Audio Interview Series. I'm your host, Talib Jasir, and today my guest is Faybeo'n Mickens. How you doing?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me, Talib. I've been looking forward to this
Yeah, me too.
exciting series, and thank you for having me.
For sure, I'm excited to talk to you about the work that you have been doing, the work that you're currently doing, and the work you are up to. So let's get started. Introduce yourself for the people. Who are you and what kind of work do you do in audio?
Sure, I'm Faybeo'n Mickens, Faye for short, and I work as an audience growth slash monetization slash data analysis slash cheerleader encourager for all my clients in this audio space. My primary background or intro to audio, I guess, would have been through music. And around 2021, I came out of music marketing and started working for a show that was the brainchild of a label and a very well-known podcast network. It was this Gen Z show about mental health, and acted as introductory platform for the label's newer artists. They were trying this thing called Def Jam U, which I think has since phased out. And so it was music discovery, it was storytelling, it was mental health awareness for BIPOC audiences and Gen Z as well. It was super exciting, and I ended up staying on board after that launch. And honestly, as a former creative in another lifetime, I was a hip hop artist many moons ago, and I still get to DJ every now and again, which I'm thankful for. But in another lifetime, I was a creative myself. So working on the executive side now, I try to bring that in the room, and working with audience growth and marketing for some time for big networks with huge budgets, and also independent creators who are following their passion, following their dreams out of their living room, out of their closets, just
Yeah,
figuring it out. It has been really exhilarating. But when I really began to listen to creators, what I discovered was the pain point was always monetization.
for
You
sure.
know, people love talking about marketing, they love talking about ideating around how they could get more ears on their show. But what that came down to is a way to support my art. And I felt that as an artist myself, even when
Yeah.
I was signed to an independent label. So yes, the label would help with certain things, but ultimately a lot of the times I had to bootstrap it, figure
Yeah.
out ways. Now my passion has been really poured into a project called PodBae, which is quite frankly a creator income infrastructure predictive revenue system for the long tail of podcasting. So for those trying to get to that first 1,000 downloads, to those that are striving to get to that 1,000 mark, 10,000 downloads per episode, then you can graduate to some of the bigger platforms that are out there. So that's a very just, I guess, overall.
Yeah. And I'm
Um,
looking forward to talking about PodBae even more because that is one of your newer initiatives. And I
mhm.
definitely want the folks to understand what's going on there and to see how it can best work for them. So definitely can't wait to jump into that even more. When a micro podcaster hears your name, what should they know that you help with?
Micro podcasters hear my name, they should hear a collaborator, an ally, as well as a person who balances the bottom line with also creative integrity.
That's
So
important.
yeah, I would love for, if I'm ever suggested to work with an independent creator, like they feel safe enough to share their wild and crazy ideas, and also know that there's a way that we can figure out how to do both. How to do the wild and crazy, but also at a price point that's realistic for you, and also at a way where we can achieve the goal of growth slash monetization slash brand awareness, because all of those things fit together.
Yeah.
So I would love if that's what people felt if they've ever been suggested to take a meeting with me, or have an intro conversation.
Yeah. And for those of the folks who are listening, as we know, we are always educating in podcasting in order for this to be viable and remain viable. What if they say, am I a micro podcaster? What does that
Mm,
mean?
yeah. So the term that I've come to, I guess, use for micro podcasters, anyone kind of dwelling in that 1,000 download per episode up until right under the 10,000. And it's probably smaller than that if we're talking even a couple hundred. And that's just as we measure up to the rest of the industry. The majority of podcasts, actually 90%, so we shouldn't really call them micropods, but the majority of podcasts have less than 10,000 downloads per episode. But I consider the 5,000 to 10,000 a mid-major space. So anything below 5,000, I would definitely consider micro, and then below 1,000, kind of nano. But we could still consider micro. And my conversation, because part of PodBae is recruiting sponsors, recruiting people that, would be interested in this type of investment. What I've come to really try to point out, and I do want to credit Magellan, ACAST, and many others who have done research around this. But what I like to credit is the fact that 57% of people who listen to podcasts trust their podcast hosts more than a celebrity or influencer. And that figure came from ACAST. And I think that's really important to point out, because when you say 1,000 people, that's still 1,000 people. Imagine going to a concert hall and visualize 1,000 people completely tuned into who's ever on the microphone. And the other thing that I love to point out is whenever you're scrolling casually, in order to account for a view or impression, we're talking about 2 to 3 seconds, give or take. For the metric, it makes sense. Like, impressions are important as well. And no matter what, your subconscious brain is going to remember that. And it might take you a second to like something, but it's a different dynamic for a podcast subscriber versus a celebrity or influencer follower. Because the subscriber is sitting with their favorite host, their favorite person for 35 minutes to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes longer. And especially someone releasing on a weekly cadence. That's 52 weeks a year that you're sitting with someone for an hour. And that kind of puts that figure in perspective, because you throw out 57%, you're like, okay, yeah, I can see that. But if you really think about the depth, it becomes more of a quality over quantity, you know? So that's why I like to say a micro podcaster, while we're talking about the same numbers, it's not exactly a one-to-one measure. 1,000 subscribers versus 1,000 followers. And again, PodBae is only a couple months old, so I still have to find the research. That's what marketing, data. What's the data behind this? Or how did you come to this conclusion? Right now, this is just my best guesstimation from what I observed on the marketing side for so long. And if you think about how you can listen to your favorite show, and what you interpret as conversation could very well be an ad, depending on how well it's introduced in an episode. And some of that is a learning curve. So while I'm really championing the micro podcaster, because it takes away that mysticism of celebrity, if you will, but technically micro podcasters are a celebrity, even if it's to 1,000 to 2,000 people. That retention and that level of engagement is very viable, and it's extremely, you can't overlook it.
You can't at all. And it's, even to me, and I'm a champion of indie and diverse creators, much like yourself, it's like celebrities don't have to try as hard to get an audience. People are looking and clamoring for content from them in whatever way they can get it. I do think podcasting is an equalizer in different ways. And it still takes amount of work to get people to listen to the podcast if you're a celebrity. But it ain't as hard as a person that just came off the street and bought their microphone and got people to start to listen to them. That's work. And then on the other side of that, really considering the machines behind these celebrities, the marketing, the work, the budget, all of this sort of thing that independent folks don't typically have. There's not a monolithic statement. Some folks come in with resources and are able to do great things, and kudos to them as well as those who don't. It's a different animal coming in as an independent. It really is. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. I know that indie podcasters looking at the celebrity and or the more popular podcast forget that you're doing something extra major by coming in as you are.
Yeah, seeing how the industry is evolving, and it's almost having a reverse engineering of, and we chatted this as well, online but offline, just seeing how a lot of celebrities are doubling back, but entering quote unquote podcast from another space
Yeah.
and wanting to call it a podcast, quite frankly, on the backs of the people that did just that, that have been doing their shows even before I take on a client. I won't say a purist. I never want, this is the hip hop brain coming out of me. Bear with me, listeners, but I've never wanted to be the DJ yelling in the club, "Where's the vinyl?" You don't want to be that. Nobody wants to be that person. Like, bro, like, it's MP3s, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person in podcasting either. But if a creator doesn't have a certain amount of episodes, or even if the episodes are looking shaky in Apple Podcasts, I'm like, hey, before we have a conversation, I think these are things you should think of.
Yeah.
And with any creative format, I grew up listening right before the bling era of hip hop came about,
Yeah.
and like enjoying jazz was part of really seeing the beauty of what Q-Tip was doing when he was sampling records. To my mom's old Motown and soul records helped me to appreciate RZA. So it's like an appreciate, not a training ground, but it's almost, hey, are you really in this for wanting to express yourself creatively, or is this just like your new shiny thing? Because the shiny thing, what I do isn't going to matter anyway. So talk to a producer before you talk to me, or do you have studios, like local studios where you can record? I know you're trying to figure this out, but I only see 5 episodes. So I think those things will naturally happen. And in the landscape of celebrities who are like popping up with podcasts now, because let's call them what they are, I feel like this is a musician seeing someone sing with just auto-tune.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right. And the free game comes with recognizing that it can only support the larger whole of this industry. If you're able to say, why don't you try this for a few months consistently and then holler back, that only supports the work. It only supports the efficiency and what you're able to do for them. But also, to your point, are you committed to the work in order to get consistent? Because without that, then we both just playing games with each other. You know what I'm saying? And who has time for that?
Yeah, and I think that too, sometimes those difficult conversations are rough to have, because on one end, if it is a true hobbyist and they're really innocently trying to figure out, but this has been their dream, you don't want to deter them.
Yeah.
That the person that's just, no shade, I got a new book, I need to do a podcast, and this is what I'm going to do. No, you're just hoping that it aligns itself with the right person. But and I do think it rings true to the industry as well. And there's a few hills I'll stand on and shout. I don't believe businesses should do their own branded podcasts. I just don't. And I've had meetings where I've just flat out said that. And sometimes it seems like I'm being a fun snatcher, but I'm not trying to be. If you are going to do a branded podcast, you should hire a podcast creator, ideate, work with you, get an executive producer on board, get someone on board that can guide you in the right direction. Because quite frankly, if you're just creating something where you're shouting about how good your product is, that's a commercial. That's not a podcast. So I think it's something that the entire community, we all try to do it to some degree. I think because I'm a marketing person, it makes it a little easier for me. While I am a creative, I'm not a creative in the podcast creation process. So I'm kind of like, hey, I'm from the outside looking in. I don't have anything to gain either way. I could definitely say yes and just, allow you to hire me, but that's not good for me. It's not good for you.
It allows you a helicopter view of the situation and not necessarily inside of it with the goals or the intentions of that creator or that brand or what have you. It's I can see from up here. Like I know that you can't see from up here because you're down there, but I can see from up here, and I'm telling you what I know, you know what I'm saying? And what I can see. And why it's so important to talk with folks that are more than theory. There's actually experience and professionalism behind it. And you worked across digital marketing, audio content, and music marketing. So what pulled you into podcast marketing specifically?
I think the storytelling. I really love the storytelling piece. I love being able to use my skill to amplify voices that otherwise might get lost in the conversation, if you will. Our work that we did together with Banji Boombox, thanks again for you being you, really showed me that even outside of work, there's space for creating that atmosphere as well. Which really, I think as a musician, as someone who's a lifelong writer, being able to connect with the story is kind of how we bring our differences, kind of bring us closer together through that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think with so much misinformation, with so much divisive language being used, especially today, I really feel like podcasting has a way to cut through the noise. And so it's like using my power for good.
Yeah.
I think that's what has drawn me into working in the podcasting space in this capacity. I had a shout out to Many Faces. I was a part of the Newsbeat podcast when I was still a rapper. So like 2017 through, I think my last episode was 2022. Just as I was transitioning out, there might have been a little overlap, but I think creatively, because I understand and respect that side a bit more, it makes me work that much harder, I guess, as a marketer. And I've been blessed enough to be in network settings where, I've had some kind of interaction with all of the big four or big five. And I've seen the budgets and I've seen shows that have performed exceptionally well, but they have $100,000 behind them. And I fought for shows that had $0 just because I really saw the potential. And while we weren't able to do exactly that thing as the bigger budgeted show, we were still able to pull some miracles.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Apple charts with little or no. And yeah, it's kind of like I got to be the spook that sat by the door. Like I was specifically tasked with creating a playbook. And I took that I gave them their version, obviously, but I also had my own, which I shared with any and everyone who would listen. And that's something I will always do.
Yeah.
And I think that's my way of giving back as well. Like someone helped me. Someone said
sure.
my name in rooms that I was not in, that someone spoke up for me when I wasn't there to speak up for myself. Especially when it comes to BIPOC, queer, women creators, there is, as we know, I forget where the metric came from. Some groups aren't even starting podcasts anymore. Not even like outweighing this demographic versus that demographic. Some graphics don't even feel encouraged enough to start. Some women don't even feel encouraged enough to start their show. So the more I can push these shows in this different, because that's my way of, I guess that's how I'm fighting right now. We all have ways that we fight. So that's mine.
For sure. You referencing that USC Annenberg report that just came out.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's disheartening, but it also says we got work to do.
Yeah.
The work is not even far. I don't care where you feel like podcasting is, how far you think it's evolved, how much you think it's saturated. Clearly, there's still more work to do.
There's still
when it comes to making sure that all voices, all life experiences are represented in some way, because podcasting is such an important space for people who all they have to do in this moment is purchase a mic, find software to record on, and publish it, and become publishers of their own voice, their own work, stories. And frankly, not knowing where the world will end up as it currently is what it is. It's like these stories are meant to be archived. Like we have to say we were here, that we did this, that we were a part of this, that this happened. And it's because I said it out my mouth. You can't misinterpret it or mismanage it. I said it. This is my experience here and now. So we still have so much work to do when it comes to representation, for sure. And so thank you for being a part of that good fight, because it's necessary.
Yeah, I received that. And even what you're doing now with her, the fact that there's ones from last year and before that I can go in and listen to. I've always seen you as like a griot. All podcasters, like modern day griot. And just to re-quote it, it's coming out of your mouth, it's being documented, and you're the outlet. No one can change it. It's us owning our own stories, and the we can be whomever, right? So I think that's how we not only maintain but plant seed, you know. And as we continue to grow in how we digest information, I really think that podcasting is going to be one of the stronger forms of archival information, only because I see now how we don't read. I was trying to dress it up. People don't read. Oh,
No,
like books. I do this thing where I go 60 days off social. I do it every year. I've been doing it every year since 2020. And people will ask me, like, worry, like, how are you going to get the news? And I was like, wait,
Yeah.
you only get your news from, it's one thing to see an article and be like, oh my God, let me go read this.
Yeah.
But people were genuinely concerned, like, how are you going to know what's happening in the world? I was like, first of all, I subscribe to the New York Times news alert, so I'm not that far out of the loop. But I hear like, are you okay, girl? Like, how are you going to know what's going on? But I think that podcasting will survive that. And we don't think about it now, but for Gen Z and Alpha Gen, there's a lot of ways to, just miss information. And also, it's interesting to see, that's another story of how even podcasts are being digested now, because some people are taking the transcripts and then putting it in AI and then listening to the AI transcript summary. That'll be interesting, but I think the best chance we have, honestly, is podcasting, just because the written word is becoming almost like an artifact.
Afros Audio, we have a program right now at a school teaching 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And it is shocking, not so much when you just know what you know about our education system in general, but nowadays it's even more where you're like, oh, they're not reading well these days. Not that they were in my generation a long time ago. It's just becoming more and more clear what is informing our young people, and not just our young people. It's all of us.
It's all of us.
Yeah, it's all of us. So yeah, I appreciate the insight. And I think for more people understanding just how powerful this medium is and the opportunity that it doesn't have to go forever. It doesn't have to be full on 200, 300 episodes, like limited series about your hometown matters.
Yes.
Recording your grandma matters.
Yes.
Like all these things will all count towards this time capsule that we're in right now when it comes to audio. You've said the industry awards are top 1%. While everyone else fights to grow and monetize. What do you think is keeping the gap so wide?
There's a few things that are influencing the gap, in my opinion. One is gatekeepers. Setting the bar at 10,000 downloads per episode, again, it wipes out 90% creators. And that's not to say that it's right or wrong, it's just a fact. Some things are just what works for the numbers or their profit margins or how they want to split up their revenue. Gatekeepers are a part of it. I think too, just the lack of knowledge. And again, I don't think anyone has done a study that the comparison of the two or the ROI, what that looks like, not just so much in brand awareness, but return in general for working with smaller shows. I think the other part of that, so gatekeeping, education. The other thing I would say is infrastructure, or how we access that infrastructure, if you will. If media platforms are set in a way that is driven based on an algorithm, and even with AI systems in place, we repeat something that's already working. Because that's the thing with artificial intelligence. It's not giving you a solution, it's just predicting an outcome based on a previous solution. AI doesn't give you information that's based on new information or potential information. It's like, hey, based on these patterns, this is the pattern I see. Even with generative AI, it's like, this melody from this song worked, so we can put this melody in your song. So I think it's those three things that are really causing the industry to almost work in a cyclical but self-destructive manner, because that can only work but so long.
Right.
And I think that for a space that a certain thing continues to win, but it weeds out other things, where one of two things will happen. People get tired of the norm, if you will, and there's a counterculture movement to the obscure in a very aggressive way, or it turns into a situation where it plateaus and flattens itself because it's just a lot of the same. The results become stagnant, or you wind up in front of the same people over and over again. And I don't know what the correction looks like. I would like to think PodBae would be something that could be helpful for that. But it's just too early to tell. I think too, because of the podcast industry's trying to decide how it wants to evolve, because there's a bubble to some degree. I think as we continue to see more podcasts pop up and no one's definitively saying, hey, this is not a podcast. People are, but I'm saying Apple Podcasts is minding their business. And shout out to them because they're just like, we're not saying anything. This is y'all's business. So I get that. But you see YouTube and Spotify not arguing each other, but it's definitely who's going to dominate the video podcast. I think that's either going to create a place where whoever is sticking with audio, you'll continue to have that 1% that's just has been that 1% for X amount of years. And it's just based on historically, this is who has been your target listener, and this is who the ads cater to. And we know this is a guaranteed return. Or it grows into, because this thing is happening with video and because some sites are being gone this way, there's another group opening or another opportunity presenting itself. And we don't know what that might. It could be AlphaGen for all we know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think those things all play a role. I think how creatives counter that is really leaning into your authenticity and leaning hard. I don't think playing middle of the road is going to happen anymore. I don't think that being silent and just hoping that you can go along to get along is going to work anymore. I think that people are paying attention to who's being vocal about what and how. I think that people are also paying attention to allies who say something, allies who sit silent in whatever way, when it comes to ableism, when it comes to homophobia, when it comes to transphobia, like in all aspects, not just one, when it comes to information, misinformation, and misrepresentation. I think that leaning into authenticity will help to counter some of that. And I think it really presents a moment where in the next year or two, there'll just be a full split. And I think we'll be wherever we're going to be. It's this 3 different industries where it's strictly video, hybrid, and strictly audio. Like whatever you represent, it's time to go hard for that and stand on it. You know?
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with everything you said. And I think that the authenticity married with the innovation of that authenticity, meaning that I have a vision of what this could be and what else I can do and how much further I can go. And I'm going to act on it despite what it currently looks like, despite what everybody else is currently putting out and the formula that seems to work. But I say all the time, status quo remains status quo as long as you do status quo things. It's going to look the same all the time if we never shift it. And of course, it's going to be the Indian and diverse creator that's the catalyst for those things that look different.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that there's going to be some divestment and less reliance is going to be what changes, because money talks, right?
Yeah.
And the more that we're able to recognize that this industry does not exist without the content that makes it exist.
Absolutely.
Which makes us more powerful than anything else in the industry itself. I truly believe that the creator in this industry has to know that there's a lot of power here, being independent and being able to choose which platform you want to give your money to. There's power in that. But if we never see it, the top will continue to win just the way it is.
Yeah. And we've seen examples of that in other industries. And I think that reckoning is coming with podcasting sooner than it has to statistically.
Yeah, for sure.
And that will be loud. Loud. I think it will be swift.
Yeah, it needs to be. And to be fair and to be clear about it, as we continue to see who is prospering and being recognized and honored in this industry, there's got to be a reckoning when it comes to the indie and the diverse podcaster who fuels the industry. Without us, it cannot exist and hold up. I respect that a lot. And I wanted to definitely segue. We talked about PodBae a few times already, but let's really get into it. What is PodBae, and what made you decide an AI matchmaker tool was the right approach?
Yeah, I'll start with the latter portion first. I have been wanting to do some rendition of PodBae for the past 4 years. And I've pitched it to not only companies that I've worked for, but also tech friends. I'm like, hey, this thing needs to happen because my job has a finite amount of time. I think coming from the music industry and being a part of the blog era. Like that was my hip hop era. And for the youngins, for the Gen Zers and the Alpha Gens listening, after the golden era and the bling era, there was something called the blog era or the SoundCloud era. And this is how you discovered your rapper. So this was DJBooth.com, Hip Hop DX. The Source had their blog going. Those are the big ones. OK Player, like the creme de la creme.
Word up.
And SoundCloud. And this was, we're going from CDs to digital. This era opened the algorithm era, which arguably, depending on where you search, that's where we are now, the trap/algorithm era. Seeing how much things changed, I just understood a lot of what was the thing or jobs in those times that dwindled to nothing, and how much it changed from how you break a record. Before, you had to be on a mixtape. Like either DJ Drama, Funk Flex, DJ Clue. Somebody needs to drop a bomb on your record. For the AM1 mixtapes were a whole thing. There was sports and music crossing over. That is true now, like, and when you mention it, you have to explain it. If I don't explain this, it's just flying overhead.
AM1 was a magical time.
It was wasn't it? For us down south, so I remember we had to get our mixtapes, like we had the bootleg, the real bootleg versions. I remember the first time I saw an actual CD disc of DJ Clue and M1. It was like an actual CD, not the little flimsy one-side printer. I lost my mind. I was like, this is how they look for real? But in saying that, with PodBae, I know that my job has a finite amount of time. And it originally started out as a way to connect podcasters to other podcast creators for the purpose of some kind of collaboration, guest swap, feed drop, cross promo, and to connect podcasters to live event opportunities and potentially sponsors. And then that changed. It was like, okay, this could be good for folks to be able to connect with each other, but there's an element missing, which is exactly what I do, finding predictive opportunities. So not only you going out and finding your match, or something like a tool like Refine, and for podcasters listening, if you haven't used Refine, it's a wonderful tool that shows how your show connects to other shows in the atmosphere or galaxy, if you will. But it's great for finding collaboration opportunities. It's just a little expensive if you're just doing it for yourself. For someone like me who works as a podcast agent, it makes sense because I have 2 or 3 people that I'm doing this for at a time. And I swear by Chartable. I think too, if Chartable was still around, you wouldn't need a PodBae or other sites that you use, just because Chartable had that wonderful connector tool. If there was somebody you wanted to collaborate with, you just click connect and they did the email for you. And if the person responded, you could work with them. And if they didn't respond, that's okay too. You can go connect with someone else. And also just the data it gave us for how well a campaign is working. It was a marketer's dream. It did my job. And I still don't understand what happened because it's been acquired, but where is she? Because I can't find her. So for me, it was the predictive element that was missing and the connecting piece that I think are key to podcasters being able to hold this strength in themselves and begin that monetization earlier rather than later. Now, the marketer, hey, this is a great audience growth tool to several friends. That's the thing I love about podcasters. If you talk to them, they will tell you the truth, honey. I had friends say, hey, I tried this thing for guest matching. I don't need any more guests. I'm getting pitched guests all the time. I actually had to turn on no more AI pitching in my signature so people know not to even try. Then I would have friends that would say, hey, yes, I got your marketing growth thing. That's cute, but I need to make money now. I don't have time to put 6-8 months doing this over and over again. The 2 things that kept coming up were live venues for live events, because that's a monetization opportunity, and then finding sponsors who are working with podcasters. So in building the AI agent, it's pretty much Faye, but as an AI predictor. And the prediction is to help podcasters find these revenue opportunities. You can still use it to find collaboration opportunities, which is great, but there's a lot of other tools that do that. So for us, it's how do I, as a micropod, find a micro sponsor? How do I,
That's
as a
great.
micro, find a live event space that's going to work with me and not charge me $500 or something
Yeah.
crazy? So the best way I like to describe it is the Vibe Logic. That's what we're calling it. Vibe Logic. It's an AI agent that watches three things: audience behavior, content performance, and sponsor activity. So it does this on its own. That's what we're building. It does it on its own, and then it makes predictions to you. So if we know, for instance, hey, Talib, did you know Heard had 500 listeners in Atlanta last month? Have you
Okay.
thought about doing a live recording? Here are some coffee shops, or here's some bookstores that had
Yeah.
podcast events in the last month. And then you
Nice.
say yes or no, and it reaches out for you. Another example, your Women's History Month episode performed exceptionally well this past March in compared to last March.
Yeah.
Your Women's History Month episode had, I don't know, a 60% lift from last March. Did you do a certain topic? Do you want me to research other topics similar? So again, it's predictive. And then my favorite one is it's the money. For instance, did you know Mental Health Rewritten? Dominic is in my brain. I love you, Dominic,
Yeah.
if you hear this. Did you
Shout
know
out
Mental
Dominic.
Health Rewritten had a sponsored ad by Hims? We noticed that your podcast has a 78% overlap. Would you like us to reach out to Hims? So it's doing the job of someone like me, what I do behind the scenes as an AI agent. And to answer your question directly, what made me want to use AI was because, and this is the feedback that I've gotten from the few patients we've put in, we're pre-seed, so we're still working on funding. I have to be able to scale the thing that sells it.
Yeah.
So that's me. I can't do this for more than 3 people. That's why I only take 3 clients a month, if possible. For an AI agent can do that for multiple people.
Absolutely.
And make it a situation where it's empowering the creator to create their own audience growth and revenue growth. So that's why we like to call it a predictive system. And we also are doing this in water mindfulness. So shout out to my CTO, Jameson Norwood. He's been helping to do the back end stuff that I don't fully understand, but in a way that's climate aware.
Okay.
We're building with water mindfulness, and we're all predictive AI. There's no generative AI. So everything is based on forecasting. So we aren't training new models, we use inference. That's one big thing. The other thing is we batch and schedule calls.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about this because the AI agent will be able to see when the most people are posting new episodes, and that's when we'll do calls as opposed to individually every time. And some of this works in our favor and some not so much, because to an investor it's like, wouldn't you just want the calls every time? But also my old boss from Active used to say there's no such thing as an audio emergency. And I'm like, you just come to the site and say, hey, 24 hours, your results will be back. Opportunity will still be there, you know? And the other thing we're looking to do is have lean tech. So being mindful about how we store on the cloud and deleting, those are just things that we want to make sure that we build properly. So we have the MVP version in works, in which will be open for beta sometime in February. That's when we're shooting for. But it's all just going to be a study. I hope Heard will be on there. You can give me feedback.
Listen, I'm looking forward to it. This is very exciting in the innovation that we're talking about that is necessary, and also the ethical aspect of it that you're not going to see in a lot of new things to market, bottom line.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think as we move into this new world, AI has been here for some time. I remember a Clippy from Word. AI has been here for some time. It's going to continue to be here. I think as we learn more tools that help with humans functioning healthier and living better, let those new tools, and this is something James and I talked about. I was just like, is there a way we can do this? Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I vibe coded as far as I could. And I was like, I need an adult, someone. He figured that out, which is very important. And it's something that I need to be able to justify to investors, of course. So cheaper to do it that way. So hopefully they see that as a cost saver as well. But it definitely came out of, we need tools for people who are trying to figure out how to get their diabetes medication, people who are fighting cancer. let the doctors use the new stuff for that, and we can play over here. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
So that's how I see it,
Yeah.
and I'm just happy we can build it that way. And the other thing is, PodBae should be a temporary solution. You should graduate out of PodBae. That's part of our business model. Like, we should grow you to the point where you've got an X amount of micro sponsors, so you're able to buy some ads, you're able to pay for some newsletters, you're able to put money behind social if that's what you want to do. You're able to do all these things, so you grow, but you're also able to finance yourself.
Yeah.
So you should
That's
get
important.
to 10,000 downloads per episode, so you can go to the bigger guys after.
Yeah, and it also supports the sustainability. And that's one of the biggest issues that we see for indie podcasters is that they're unable to sustain their vision. They get in and they want to do things. One, they want to do things that they don't know how to do, which is the point of having educational opportunities to learn what you don't know, because that's okay. It's okay to not know. It's not okay to stay not knowing. So get what you need. But then as their vision increases and the education increases, then they're still like in a, okay, who do I pitch to and where are they and how do I get this? And how do I sustain this if I did want to say, at the very least, how can I get enough money to upgrade my software, my hardware when I want to? I'm not paying out of pocket just to keep the podcast lights on, so to speak. Yeah. This is important.
It's important, and I think it also closes that gap we were talking about earlier. It takes away the mysticism, and it builds a bridge from creator directly to sponsor opportunity, brand opportunity. And it's something that right now creators are looking at 10, 12 different websites or on all these different mailing lists and all these different platforms. And sometimes it just helps to mitigate some of that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a way to use it to our advantage in a helpful way that isn't to the creator community. If it's going to make your workflow easier, this is what we say, PodBae should help you have more time to create.
Yeah.
I would love that as a DJ, like something that is doing the thing for me so I can make mixes, so I can make remixes, so I can have fun. That's how we should use AI, even with their workflow.
Absolutely, as a mechanism.
Yeah.
So I love that. PodBae. Tell me a little bit about the name.
Oh, that's Bae. Everybody has Bae. That's Bae. This is how we're going to get our matches together. So yeah, definitely playing on the Raphonic meets Tinder vibe. Like,
nice. I knew there was a story behind that. That's what's up. All right, so you say PodBae matches based on vibe, values, and audience fit, not just stats. And just as we think about podcasting as a whole, and you've already said a lot about it, why does this matter when it comes to growth and sponsorship? But I'll put that with another thought. What do brands really look for when they decide to work with a podcast?
Yeah, it ranges, right? So you'll have brands that want more than just impressions. They want meaningful collaboration. In just the past conversations that I've had, earlier this week, I talked to a whiskey brand, and for them, it's so specific what they do. Again, they're not a well-known whiskey brand. They're localized. They're here in Atlanta. So it means a lot to work with podcasts that are in Atlanta. They don't have a huge budget. Right now, all they're able to afford really is like some influencer spend here and there. They also have, in addition to their liquor brand, they have a venue, a bar, that they want to get the word out about. So I think another thing we try to consider with PodBae, with the type of sponsors that would be on our platform, they have more of a niche concern in the market. It's not a one size fit all. And I think it's important to make really good alignments, because each impression, each conversation that comes out of these pairings, not only will they be impactful, but also the legs are expected to travel a little longer.
Right.
I think when sponsors come to PodBae, they understand that, like I said, it's the long tail of podcasting, but I guess to some degree it's for long tail products, very much based on alignment and depth, and not just a one size fit all. I wouldn't expect for us to ever have someone like Walmart, or no shade, well, shade, take it, whatever. But I wouldn't expect for us to have like a one size fit all on PodBae. I would expect someone who makes specialty glasses, or who has a vinyl shop and wants to reach out to music podcasters. I think it's really going to be based on the type of content. And that's the other thing too, we don't do any programmatic. everything must be branded or host read, you
Okay.
know? So I think with some platforms that do really focus on programmatic ads in a one size fit all, I think that works if you're just going to spray and play. But for sponsors that come to PodBae and want to work with us and really want to collaborate, it's all about fit.
Yeah.
It's all about fit because we aren't necessarily just, we're not selling downloads. We're not selling impressions.
Yeah.
We're selling the engagement. We're selling the longevity, and we're selling the fit.
I've been preaching since 2019 of podcasters, especially diverse and indie podcasters, to focus in instead of always outside of your actual opportunity. You've got your boutiques in the area, you've got your bars, you got all these areas that's local and regional access that you don't even see for the one that you're trying to get from a brand that ain't thinking about you. Like they don't want no parts of you because in their mind, you can't deliver what they want from you. Meanwhile, you on camera or on audio talking about the shirt you just picked up from the store down the street, and that's going to convert both for the brand itself and for the listener that's in the same area as you. Is, oh shit, let me go down to such and such place on whatever block and go cop the shirt too. There's so much opportunity in that, but between socialization and just noise, misinformation, that we don't ever get to that ground level of what is possible.
Right.
And you're going to have to work a little bit different and inventive in order to make it work for you. So PodBae is speaking my language. I love that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm hoping that we continue to grow. It has been a lot of research at this point. It has been a lot of conversations. And honestly, we have to have a sandbox in play. I'm hoping to really translate a lot of these success stories onto the platform. Because right now, everything is just manual. Because I'm still just navigating a lot of the collaborations and deals that are happening until we can get the Vibe Logic AI agent fully functional. And I expect there'll be bugs. I like to put that out now. Just ping me. Support at podbae.love. Faye, this button isn't working. It's part of it's helpful. It's part of the growth process. Case studies, we have to really show that this type of work makes a difference. And I believe in it. It's like you just said, I think the power of influencers, and I'm careful not to, I know that there's a connection with podcasters and influencers. They're all creators. I think the authenticity that you're talking about is key. And I think that's the differentiation, especially for micro brands, small businesses, local spaces who are looking to get into this space and they can't afford an add-on show or that show. And if they do buy into one of those, start your ads at $250 type thing, you're going to get lost in the sauce, you know? And
for sure.
I think that people will begin to realize that a little more, even with the learning curve. And I think it's going to take just what you just described, shows that are just like, hey, this is what I cover. This is what I do. Something as simple as every week I wear a shirt created by a Native American artist. And in the show notes, go check out their web thing.
Absolutely.
I think it really starts with just authentically connecting to what you're associating with your brand. And I think podcast creators are really, when they are in their authentic self, really, truly championing that idea. It's so hard to get a podcast subscribed. It's so hard to get someone to click subscribe. So I do have people that have fear. They're like, some hosts don't want mid-rolls, want anything to interrupt once they start because of that fact. Those are the people I want on PodBae. I'm not taking anybody. It has to work. It has to fit because of this. And so I think with the sponsor conversations I have been having, like them understanding that too. You know, it's definitely not a pay to play. It's definitely an alignment thing. The other thing is our model would be creators get paid directly and then a sponsor pays us 10%. The other thing. I got to work on that because the business model, I'll figure it out. But the creator in me wants to stand on that because I've seen platforms where they require 40%. I'm like, that's crazy. You know, that's a bit much. Again, my goal is if you're just getting into podcasting and you're trying to figure it out, PodBae is your first stop. And you should eventually graduate out. And hopefully you tell the little homies, hey, this is where I started. You should start there too.
No, I love that. And I was going to ask you that, and you already answered it. Like, how does a person say, okay, I'm ready to sign up for PodBae?
So if you go to podbae.love, there is just the free option. That's what we're pushing now until we get our 100 members or until we begin to launch our beta. Even in beta, we're still looking to just gather information so that we can put it in our business plan as we pitch for potential investors. And right now, it's just a and then you get a confirmation, but you'll get a password and a login later. Because again, this is the MVP version, so we're still building it, but we're really excited, and I think we're on schedule to launch beta at least
awesome.
by February. So fingers crossed. But yeah, it's a really quick sign up process. It's a lot of questions. I have to shout out people that help with the questions. Christine from Flourish in the Fur, she was one. Some people just gave feedback as they were figuring out their questions, which is helpful too, because it's not just the typical Q&A. You know,
Right.
we ask about vibe, which is the emotional feeling that you get while you're in the show, while you're listening. Tone, like how does the host come across? Those things are important too. So it's not just the typical demographic download question, but there's detailed questions, also words that come to mind. If you were going to podcast high school, who would be sitting at your lunch table in your podcast having a conversation? So it's things like that, because we want to really get to know who you are. And I think that's going to help train the system to be able to make suggestions that much more thoroughly.
Okay. That's dope. So your 100 free members will be the founding friends.
Yep.
Congratulations on one, getting the vision out there, having a dream, and then executing on said dream is its own work. And then allowing us space to build with you. You're building in public in a way, which is a good thing, especially for something like this. It's very, like you said, things have been out there like this before, but not in this way, and not with you.
It's scary.
And so that's important.
It's scary.
I can imagine.
You know? I received that. Thank you for saying that. This is probably the first time like I've been a part of a process like this, but it's something I truly believe in. I can sometimes be a bit of a control freak. It's just the Aquarius alpha part of my brain coming out. And a lot of this is just, quite frankly, out of my control. And sometimes I do have to say I have to research or think about it. And shout out to Jameson, your godsend. If you hear this, Jameson, he's just been great with me run with ideas. And he just lets me get it all out. And he's like, okay, let's think about it this way. And taking care of that side. I'm excited. I want it to work, but I'm also understanding and vulnerable enough to say, hey, if this doesn't work, I'm flexible enough to figure out a way for it to work. You know, what does that look like? If the sponsors are needing more, what does that look like? Because we are a podcaster first.
Sure.
You know, and how do the podcasters feel about this? What's the middle line that we can get to where everyone feels safe to work together, everyone feels creative, and we're creating in this space that's also creating equity, creating revenue, creating ways to build together, but also so creators don't feel like they're sacrificing their ideals or their brand. We know in marketing, branding is what you have, it's your reputation.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a balance, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah, and I trust you. Anything I can do to support, I'm all in. You already know.
Thank you.
For sure. As I let you go, I definitely want you to give an honorable shout out to Banji Boombox, and if you have any word on what's 2026, and then we'll get you to tell folks how they can work with you and find you.
Oh, absolutely. So shout out to Banji Boombox, shout out DJ Mary Mac. I love you, big sis. We are QT BIPOC Festival Collective. We started around 2020 to bring QT BIPOC voices together and amplify them through music, podcasts, education, entertainment, the full realm, and we center ourselves. That's the key. Like, everyone is invited, but queer, non-binary, gender expansive, women, all of those femme voices are amplified in our space in Banji Boombox. You can find us at banjiboombox.com. For 2026, we've had some kind of event since 2020, be it virtual or IRL. Last year, Afros and Audio, the BPA came together for us to come and have our first All Things Audio Atlanta. And it was a blast. And Talib, people are still asking about it. I say this every time because, and our ads are still running. which is
That's what's up.
insane. Cola Be Talking reached out. She's like, I saw your ads again. I'm like, girl, like really? So
That's what's up.
thank you to Ike Smart. But right now we're up in the air. So Mac wants us to do another Atlanta edition. And I think there has to be something else in Atlanta. I think we have 2 homes because we originally expected to return back to New York. But I think we are in conversations to potentially do another podcast village. Because I'm so wrapped in the PodBae, I haven't fully put my eye on that. But there's something left to be said there, even if we're just supporting in some capacity. And the other side of that is there is still talk from the music end. We have gotten offers for Banji to put out another collaborative project with a label, which would be wonderful. We have our own imprint with Empire. Shout out Empire Distro. But it would be great to have some backing and some support too. So those things are just open doors that are waiting for us. We're very lucky and blessed to just have a roster of amazing creators from the music and the podcast space. Shout out again to Q Points, who was our featured podcast amongst our podcast village and all of our podcast villagers. Sherry was amazing as well. We did get on the short list of a certain awards thing. So I'll let you know how that goes if we hear something to actually get the nomination. But we are in the short running, and they specifically said Atlanta, so it wasn't Banji Boombox New York, it was Banji Boombox ATL.
Boom. Okay.
Exactly. So we'll see. There's more for us to do, and we will be doing some type of activation in 2026 down here, whether it's a small pop-up or what have you. For us to do another big thing, I'm really wanting us to have the proper sponsorships involved so we can do it the right way and really be able to show our gratitude to folks that like our partners as well as our participants. So that's all we're waiting on. It's going to be a situation where we do Atlanta, New York for some time to come.
Let folks know social media, website, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, so you can find me at Faybeo'nMickens.com. That's Faybeo'nMickens.com. You can also find me at PodBae.love, and it's just how it sounds, PodBae.love. I'm also on social media sparingly since I came back in January. I'm still getting in the swing of things. I'm at Gullah Island at GullahIsland. And also we're on as PodBae.love at PodBae.love on IG. And LinkedIn as Faybeo'n Mickens. Hit me up, I'm around.
Bet. It's been a pleasure talking to you, reconnecting as always. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Talib. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for all the work that you do and you've done, and for how you've continued to support, allow camaraderie, you being thinking of like planting the seed, you're the water being poured onto the seed.
Appreciate
it. To continue to flourish in this space, and you being one of the first. I still remember coming to Afros Audio, double Elvis paid for me to come. I appreciate that. And my first session was the virtual because it was fresh after the pandemic or whatever. So that was my first time coming, and it was really encouraging. And then when I got to finally meet you, the rest is history. So thank you for being who you are, for always pouring into us and always giving us space and continuing to do what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All right.